I trusted my husband. After 42 years of marriage, trust wasn't something I questioned anymore. So when he told me, I'm flying to Seattle for a few days, business meetings, nothing exciting, I didn't ask a single follow-up question. I helped him pack. I reminded him to take his blood pressure pills. I kissed him goodbye at the door, like I had done thousands of times before. Seattle sounded harmless. Cold weather, coffee, meetings, nothing that belonged in my life anymore. 3 days later, I was sitting at our kitchen table, sorting through old paperwork, boring things, tax files, bank letters, the kind of papers you keep because you're afraid to throw away the wrong one. That's when I saw it. An email notification printed on paper, not mine, his. I wasn't snooping, I swear that. It was right there mixed in with our shared documents. The subject line caught my eye because it didn't make sense. Malibu property closing confirmation. Malibu. I laughed at first, out loud, because it sounded ridiculous. We don't live in Malibu. We've never talked about Malibu, and we definitely don't buy beach houses at this stage of life. But then I saw the name on the document. My name, not his, mine. The trust my parents left me, the one meant for retirement, medical care, security. My hands started to shake, slow and steady, like something inside me had finally woken up after years of sleep. I told myself there had to be a mistake, a scam, wrong paperwork. But deep down, I already knew something was very wrong. And that was the moment I asked myself a question that changed everything. If my husband wasn't in Seattle, then where was he really staying? I didn't call him right away. That surprised me. Instead, I sat there, staring at the paper like it might explain itself if I gave it enough time. 42 years teaches you something. Panic rarely gives answers. Silence does. I went to the computer, the one he always said was too complicated. I typed in the address listed on the document, and there it was. A house overlooking the ocean. White walls, tall glass windows, a place that looked like it belonged to someone else's life, not mine. The listing photos showed sunlight pouring into rooms big enough to echo, a private deck, a pool, a view that screamed new beginnings. My stomach dropped. Then I saw the date. The house was purchased 6 months ago. 6 months. That meant while we were planning doctor visits, while we were talking about selling our car, while I was clipping coupons and saying no to dinners out, he was signing papers for a Malibu house with my trust. I checked the account. I told myself not to, but my hands moved on their own. Large withdrawals, carefully spaced, quiet, just small enough that I wouldn't notice. That hurt more than the money, because it meant this wasn't a mistake. It was planned. I finally called him. Straight to voicemail. I left a calm message. Too calm. Hi, just checking in. Call me when you can. Then I waited. Every hour felt longer than the last. I watched the clock. I watched the door. I even listened for a car that never came. That night I slept alone in our bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every conversation from the past year, every late meeting, every sudden trip, every time he seemed distracted but smiled anyway. And the next morning, I discovered something that made the Malibu house feel like only the beginning of the truth. The next morning, I woke up before sunrise. I didn't sleep much anyway. My phone was still quiet. No missed calls, no messages. Seattle, my husband said. But Seattle doesn't make you disappear like this. I made coffee I didn't drink and sat down at the kitchen table again. Something told me not to stop now. When you reach the truth, you don't turn around halfway. I checked his email. Yes, I knew his password. After 42 years, secrets usually fade, or so I thought. What I found felt heavier than the house. Flight receipts, not to Seattle, to Los Angeles. Hotel confirmations near Malibu. Dinner reservations for 2. And then her name. Not hidden, not coded, just sitting there like it belonged. The emails weren't romantic. That almost made it worse. They were casual, familiar, like 2 people who had already crossed every line long ago. She was younger. Not young enough to be his daughter, but young enough to still believe in fresh starts. The house wasn't for investment. It wasn't for retirement. It was for escape. I closed the laptop and finally cried. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quiet tears sliding down a face that had held itself together for decades. I thought about all the times I defended him. All marriages go through phases. He's just tired. We're fine. We weren't fine. I was just loyal. That afternoon, he finally called. His voice sounded relaxed, happy even. Hey, sorry, meetings ran long. I didn't argue. I didn't accuse. I just asked one question. Are you enjoying the ocean? Silence. Long, heavy, telling. What he said next didn't just confirm the betrayal. It forced me to decide who I was going to be for the rest of my life. He didn't answer right away. I could hear his breathing on the other end of the line. That alone told me everything. 42 years teaches you the sound of truth before words arrive. Finally, he sighed. Look, it's not what you think. Those words, they sounded small, worn out, almost lazy. I told him what I knew. The house, the trust, the flights. He didn't deny it. He said he felt invisible. He said he wanted to feel alive again. He said he never meant to hurt me. But here's the thing. People don't accidentally steal your future. I asked him one last question. Were you ever going to tell me? Another pause. No. That was it. No shouting, no begging, just the truth standing there, plain and ugly. That night, I didn't pack his things. I packed mine. I stayed with my sister for a while. I called a lawyer. I learned words I never thought I'd need at this age: breach, recovery, protection. The trust wasn't gone forever. Neither was my dignity. For the first time in years, I slept deeply, not because the pain was gone, but because I stopped lying to myself. But the real surprise didn't come from the lawyer. It came from the decision I made next, one no one saw coming. I didn't chase him. I didn't compete. And I didn't beg for explanations I already had. Instead, I chose myself. The lawyer helped recover most of the trust. The Malibu house, it became evidence, not a dream. What he thought was a fresh start turned into a hard ending. People asked me if I was angry. I was, but not the kind that burns, the kind that clears your vision. At 71, I learned something I wish I'd known earlier. Loyalty is beautiful, but only when it's mutual. Silence isn't peace when it costs your future. I moved into a smaller place, closer to friends, closer to laughter. I learned how to enjoy mornings without explaining myself to anyone.
And here's the truth I want you to hear, especially if you're older and think it's too late. It's not. Not too late to protect yourself. Not too late to walk away. Not too late to start again, quietly, with dignity. He went to Malibu looking for youth. I stayed right here and found freedom. And that was worth everything. Weeks turned into months. The house in Malibu, a reminder of betrayal, yes, but also a symbol of what I refuse to accept in my life anymore. I started writing letters, not to him, but to myself. Letters of gratitude for the years I had loved, letters of strength for the years I still had ahead. I realized something important. Pain teaches, but wisdom transforms. I began reconnecting with friends I hadn't seen in years. I joined a book club, volunteered at the local library, and even took a painting class. Small things, simple joys, things I had postponed for decades. And each day I felt lighter, freed not by revenge, not by confrontation, but by choosing dignity, by choosing me. I share this story because it's never too late. Never too late to protect yourself, to heal, to start over. Betrayal hurts, but your response defines your life. He went to Malibu chasing a fantasy. I stayed, built a reality I could be proud of, and finally felt at home in my own life. And if there's one message I want you to remember, it's this. Your age, your past, your circumstances, none of that defines your strength. You do, always. So the question isn't what he did. The question is, what will you do with your life? Starting today.